They say faith can move mountains, but what if faith built a staircase? Tucked in the heart of Santa Fe, New Mexico, stands a chapel that hums with an almost otherworldly stillness. Inside it, a spiral wood that defines reason, gravity, and time itself. The Loretto Chapel staircase, a structure so perfect, so impossible, it's been called a miracle. And the best part? No one knows who built it. Tonight, we're diving deep into the mystery of the miraculous staircase, a feat of divine craftsmanship, an unsolved enigma of engineering, and perhaps a literal answer to prayer. Welcome back to Nightly Haven in the light, where mysteries are holy, the details are haunting, and the truth, well, it's rarely simple. It's the late 1800s. The desert sun of the Santa Fe burns bright over a newly founded girls' school run by the Sisters of Loretto, a group of devout nuns who had traveled all the way from Kentucky to bring education and faith to the growing territory. They built their schools, they built their chapel, a beautiful Gothic-style miniature modeled after Sante in Paris. There was just one problem. When construction wrapped in 1878, there was no way to reach the choir loft. The upper balcony where the sisters are meant to sing during Mass, the space was 20 feet high, and a traditional staircase would have taken up too much room. Builders shrugged. Sorry, sisters, guess you'll need a ladder. But the Sisters of Loretto weren't the kind to accept impossible, so they did what nuns do best. They prayed. For 9 days straight, they prayed a novena to Saint Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters, asking for a solution. And on the 10th day, he came. No one knew his name. One morning, a dusty traveler arrived at the chapel doors on a donkey. Anyone missed that one? Sorry. Weird coincidence. And a few simple tools. He offered to build them a staircase, but asked for complete privacy while he worked. The sisters, desperate and faithful, agreed. He shut the doors. Days turned into weeks. The sounds of hammering and sawing echoed through the chapel like a whispered prayer. No one saw him eat. No one saw him rest. And then, 6 months later, the doors opened. Before them stood a masterpiece. A spiral staircase winding upward in two perfect 360-degree turns with no obvious means of support. The staircase rises about 20 feet and makes 2 full spirals to the choir loft, reminding me of DNA. No nails, no central pole, no metal fastenings at all. The wooden pegs, precision, joinery, and craftsmanship so flawless that even modern engineers still scratch their heads at it. The steps are reportedly pegged together rather than nailed, and the journey is unusual for its time. The stranger? Gone. Vanished without a word. No name, no payment request, no trace of his work outside of the chapel. And some say it was Saint Joseph himself, the carpenter of Nazareth, returned to answer the sisters' prayer. Now, this is the detail that turns the story from merely fascinating to quietly symbolic. Count the steps and you'll find, depending on how the risers are counted, 33 steps. 33. A number heavy with Christian meaning. The age traditionally ascribed to Jesus at the time of his crucifixion. For many believers, that number wasn't coincidence. It's confirmation, a hidden signature, a quiet nod. Some versions of the legend lean into symbolism. The sisters prayed for the carpenter saint, and the carpenter leaves behind 33 steps, the exact age of Christ. Theatrical? Absolutely. Eerie? Undeniable. Fitting for NightlyHaven in the light? Definitely. But as any good mystery, there are footnotes. Different sources count steps differently. Do you count the top landing from the bottom tread? And some early reports vary in step count. Still, 33 is the version that took hold in the telling, and it became part of the chapel's lore. Now, let's get a bit geeky, because I am definitely a geek in the best way. The staircase strength isn't magic. Well, maybe a little. It's ingenious carpentry. The inner and outer stringers are made from multiple segments laminated and joined in a helix. The inner stringer's radius is so tight it almost functions like a center post. In other words, the spiral itself is a structural element. Later analysis noted that the assembly overlapping stringer segments joined and pegged produces a laminate effect that is actually stronger than a single piece of wood. So the design is clever, even brilliant, yet that doesn't explain the striking aesthetics, the exactness, or the timing of the arrival. And yes, handrails were not part of the original build. The staircase initially lacked railings, so was reportedly so narrow and steep that some sisters descended on their hands and knees out of fear. The railings and iron support brackets were added later around 1887 to make it safer. So another mystery is the wood. Samples and later examinations has suggested that the staircase is made from a spruce that isn't native to New Mexico, which raises the question, where did the wood come from in 1880 Santa Fe? Ships? Packs? A traveling carpenter who brought it his own supply? Or something more improbable? Those who hunt for explanations point at a real-world candidate, a reclusive French-born carpenter named Francois-Jean Frenchy Roches, or Frank Roches, has been named by some historians as a plausible builder. A 19th century Santa Fe newspaper item and later archived sleuthing have suggested that Roches had the skill and tools to build the staircase, and that he did carpentry work for the sisters. But this disputed, the historical record is messy. We got logbooks and $150 payment for wood at some point, and debates among historians, but no definite signed blueprint with a name. So yes, plausible human explanations exist, and none are totally airtight. Over the decades, engineering craftsmanship, curious skeptics have all taken their shot. Explanation: a brilliant carpenter with rare skills and uncommon wood plus clever lamination technique equals a human-made marvel. Explanation B: the timing, the disappearance, the 33 steps, the novena, all adding a layer of meaning that many seem as divine. Now, both explanations can coexist without one annihilating the other. A human can craft a masterpiece level work and still feel like a miracle to those who prayed for it. And a miracle can arrive with craftsmanship that's perfectly engineered. The polite engineering friendly summary is this. The stair can be explained by structural principles. Laminated stringers, tight inner radius acting like a center post, yet the gap between how and the why then and there is what's keeping the story alive. Here's a good storytelling truth. Legends mutate. Some versions say the builder worked overnight and vanished like a ghost. Others described him taking 6 to 8 months, leaving without pay. Some recount the sisters kneeling as they watched. Others recall a quiet, reserved tradesman who asked not to be watched. Over the years, the overnight miracle version makes for better postcards, but the timeline and contemporary records is less dramatic. And then there's symbology. 33 steps, 2 spirals, a Carpenter saint. These are the sort of details storytellers keep. They're sticky. They make the story portable and spiritual, and they invite pilgrims, engineers, and paranormal hobbyists alike. So why do we cling to numbers? Why does 33 matter? Because humans read meaning into structures. Spirals have always been spiritual shorthand for ascent, cycles, and the connection between the earthly and the celestial. Add the number 33 and you get a tidy, resonant image. Climb the spiral, ascend toward Christ's age, touch the echo of the divine. It's the kind of coincidence that feels like a message when you're looking for them. Whether you chalk that up to human pattern or seeking divine talk, it's up to you. But it makes for a hell of a camera work moment. Close up of blusters, cut to a slow pan of the helix, fading into the stained glass light. These days, the Loretto Chapel operates as a private museum. Visitors file in from the hundreds of thousands to see the staircase and hear the story. Novena, Carpenter, vanished, miracle. People have felt since moments, a hush, a shiver, a prayer that caught them unawares. Others leave as amused skeptics who appreciate a brilliant piece of woodworking. Both reactions part of the staircase's ongoing mythology. A few practical notes for you. The staircase has been closed to free public use at the time, partly to preserve them, and the visible railings and the iron brackets are later additions. Practical measures that they don't make the original carpentry any less impressive, but do reveal how stories and safety measures evolve side by side. So what are we left with? A structure that can be explained by excellent if unusual carpentry, the number 33 that invites symbolic reading and has become inseparable from the tale, a vanished craftsmanship who may have been an anonymous builder or a miracle that chose to be anonymous, a piece of wood that would have come far away, an extra layer of where did that come from that deepens the puzzle. You can stack those statements together and leave the room for both explanation and wonder. The gap between the explainable and the unexplainable is NightlyHaven's favorite territory. Some mysteries are meant to be solved, others are meant to be felt. Maybe the real miracle of the Loretto staircase isn't that it defies gravity, but that it reminds us that faith, craftsmanship, and mystery can coexist in perfect balance. Maybe the number of steps is a signature, or maybe it's coincidence that became a story. Either way, that spiritual lifts you up physically, and if you let it, spiritually. A prayer built from wood and wonder. So the next time you're standing before something you can't explain, something that feels impossible, remember the stairs of Loretto and the carpenter who answered when they called. Till next time, I'm your host, Nikki, and this is NightlyHaven in the Light, where faith meets the unknown, one story at a time. Have a good day, guys. Bye.